Okay, so,
I know you missed us.
yeah, we've been gone for a little bit. Sorry, everyone. So, we're... I like whispering, too. Alright, so we're going to keep with our current news segment. And we're going to talk about the recent Germanwings flight that went down over in Europe. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about
Tragedy.
Very sad situation.
it. So this guy's co-pilot, Andreas Lubitz, was flying a plane with another pilot, and the other pilot left the cockpit for some reason for a moment. And during that time, this co-pilot Lubitz, who was completely qualified to fly the plane on his own, locked the door, locked everyone out, and just began a descent. And eventually, obviously, crashed the plane and killed him along with the other 149 passengers aboard. And so the crazy thing was that there was no sign of him having any medical complications during the flight, like a seizure that would cause something like that. There was no previous psychological problems with him or mental problems that Germanwings knew of.
But
However, upon searching his apartment, police found documents stating that he was unfit for work, and they were actually shredded in his garbage, which means he was clearly trying to...
wasn't he suicidal?
Yeah, and there was also... He took a brief leave of absence at one point during his training to... I don't know. Apparently, it's a common thing for them to take that little break, like people...
Probably a very stressful thing to do. Go through training.
Yeah.
Or like a death in the family or something else, like anything like that. It wasn't uncommon, so no one really thought much of it. But apparently, during that time, he went and saw a therapist, and they said that he had suicidal tendencies. So basically, it comes
Which is
down
unreal if you're gonna
to,
be on a
fly
plane.
entrusted with hundreds of people's lives, children aboard too. In a newer study into this, they went back to where Lubitz grew up, which I can't remember where it was, but friends and acquaintances of his that grew up with him and like pilots who he knew from his local area said they were absolutely appalled he did something like this. They would have never thought he'd do anything like this. So basically the question right now is Germanwings responsible for this, or was this just a freak thing like that this all managed to happen?
Well, I don't think that they're necessarily
Now, is Germanwings a company?
Yeah, it's the plane company.
Okay.
But they hire the pilots and stuff too.
All right.
It's not just building the plane.
True.
I don't think that they're in the wrong for it. I just feel like there should be like a better process to like find people that are going to like work for like a company that like
Better screening.
Better
Yeah.
screening,
Especially
exactly.
nowadays. Like it was one thing in like the 70s and 80s, but with everything going on
with
now,
everything, especially with planes, since like all of that has been going on with planes.
started with 9/11.
Yeah.
Exactly.
9/11 just...
So I feel like if you have like people's lives in your hands, like you definitely should like have like a better screening process.
They should basically know everything about you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Especially
It's like
something
going to the military.
Exactly. Especially something like crucial as him being suicidal, like having shredded papers in his apartment. Like the fact that they didn't even know that he
They literally
was
said that he was unfit for work.
unreal. And now you have all these people's hands, like lives in your hands, and like
You just waste them all.
exactly.
Yeah, that's just something that company has to be on top of at all times. You can't not know if something like that is going on with one of your pilots, because whenever there's something going on with one of the pilots, that's a risk for everyone who's on board.
Right.
They should have known way before this even had happened that he had been, declared unfit for work. That's something that should immediately come up. I think that's something that the Blue Wings employees should do themselves. I feel like they should have their own therapist and their own psychiatrist to be administered to their pilots, so that they know that if they say they're unfit for work, that the company immediately finds that out. Because I feel like it was just too easy for that guy to say, I want to go see a therapist, tell his therapist what was really on his mind, and then just go right back to work.
And just hide everything.
Exactly.
And just hide
Yeah.
everything. Right, exactly.
It's terrible.
And I also think that another way they could have solved the problem is having like another pilot in the cockpit with this other man, so that he could have avoided the problem or probably terminated it.
It's like they had the other pilot, but once
But he
steps
left.
out-
Exactly.
yeah,
There
once
should
he
have been
steps out.
another one. Like there should be more than like just two.
And some people are saying like it's still unclear why that pilot left, but I really don't think it was.
No.
If the co-pilot was cleared to fly the plane on his own, then there's no reason why the pilot shouldn't be allowed to leave.
Exactly.
But basically the thing was they couldn't get back into the cockpit, and there's like some code that the one flight attendant and the other pilots always know, and it's like the security code to get back in. But apparently he like took the latch and put it down, which like
There
fact
should be
that
another way that
you can do
they
that
could
is-
get in.
is not
Exactly.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There should be a master lock. That
yeah, there should be no latch that you
Exactly.
just can't open
right,
from the other side.
Right, absolutely.
And then another way to eliminate that, it's kind of a weird comparison, but like in childcare, if you have one kid with you and you go out and they need to do something, like go to the bathroom, you're supposed to take another adult with you or another kid, because you can't have that one-on-one thing, and if something happens, then no one knows what really happened. So let's say they had 3 pilots. One pilot has to leave. There's always 2 pilots in the cockpit. There's always that extra,
Exactly.
that extra voice, that extra opinion, whatever.
And
you wanna
obviously
call
you
it.
don't want to have to think like this. Like, you don't want to have these precautions just because you think something like this is going to happen. But here it is, and it happened.
It happened, so now we gotta think it over.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's the way the world is.
Yeah, it's awful. It really is. World was a safer place 30 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
See, I say 30 years, and I think like the 70s, but that was literally almost the 90s.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
that is weird to think about.
Right?
Now that you put it like that, that is very weird.
That was
to think
literally not. Oh, that feels so long.
Yeah,
ago.
right.
I know.
But
I'm just very sketched out by planes
yeah,
recently.
no, I hear you.
They're
I
just
hear you.
disappearing.
That's good.
Yeah,
I mean, I
right?
just took one, so that's cool.
I know. Seriously though, like
Safety first.
it's scary.
Glad to see you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a bad situation.
And it's not even with stuff like that too. Just recently, I know a lot of flights have been messing up. Like,
Harrison Ford.
yeah, well, that was his own plane.
Yeah, well, it's plane crash.
True.
Or how about the one that
Disappeared.
went right over? I want to say it was like the Bermuda Triangle or somewhere. That it just went down. Or maybe I'm completely off about
Are
where
you
it
thinking
was.
of the Malaysia one?
Yeah. Okay.
The Malaysia
That's
one.
what it was. So
It wasn't the Bermuda Triangle.
Which
Okay.
one?
The Malaysia flight that like just disappeared.
Yeah, you know
Disappeared,
what?
too.
Yeah, he's 100% right. Yeah, it just happened within like the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Went
yeah,
down.
yeah,
No
yeah.
one has been able
No
to
one has
find
any
out.
idea. They can't
had,
find the
had
black
a really
box.
sketchy like last minute voice
Transmission or whatever.
recording. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So
Apparently, they actually found, for this Germanwings flight, they haven't released any of it yet, but they found cell phone footage of the final moments. And there's
Really?
even like footage of the other pilot like banging on the door so hard trying to like get in there.
oh man.
That's so
Awful.
sad.
yeah. it's
I
just-
hope they don't release it, to be honest.
Yeah, because that's just another thing that people are gonna
It's
look
just
at. And just,
150
I mean, they
people's
definitely
lives.
were probably going to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like with all they released on 9/11, like I feel like
Oh yeah, very true.
I just
Very
think
true.
that they're gonna
It's
have
just
to.
crazy how like with this case with the man being shot in the back by the police officer, that kid that took the video didn't take it right to the authorities. He brought it to
Oh, yeah.
He brought it to the victim's family,
Family.
and then they turned it in. But like once that happened, that was all viral. Anyone could see it. Now this is a personal
Matter. Yeah. Yeah.
a phone video taken by someone, and now no one gets to see it. It's kind of weird how that
And you know
works
that,
like that.
that's
you
the
know?
only video that we're hearing about though. You know how many videos had come out, couple years, 2, 3, 4 years after
After.
9/11 had happened.
Oh, can you imagine
Where
if we had
out of-
camera phones?
right,
to
exactly.
9/11?
And then, out of nowhere, 4 years after 9/11, it actually happened. Just people coming out with all sorts of
With new
videos
videos.
that bring up, new evidence to light and stuff. And,
Mhm.
it might just be like that situation. We might see another video 3 years from now when they're farther into the investigation that says something completely different.
No, definitely. It's scary, the world we live in now with all these cameras.
Mhm.
I know.
Anything you do is
Can be
on
recorded.
video.
I
So-
feel like we are being recorded right now. So
yeah.
This will be here forever.
It's a bad thing, but at
Don't
the same
mess
time, it's a good thing. So.
we're not going
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I hope we don't.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, on to our next topic.
The next story that we have is that, well, basically Utah and us get our legal and lethal injections drugs from Europe, and they're refusing to give them to us. So Utah is potentially bringing back firing squads for death row prisoners when lethal injections are not obtainable. And I kind of think this is unethical, but that's just me. How do you guys feel about that?
I hate to say it like this, but if you're gonna be killed and it's gonna be quick, really doesn't.
Yeah, I guess.
These people don't deserve much sympathy, but it is kind of barbaric to just line them up and just shoot 'em.
Shoot them.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I think I'm in more of agreement with what you actually first said. It's just,
Yeah.
Most of these guys, except for the very small minority of them who may actually be innocent, that
I have
are
a
on
point
death
to make
row.
about that. when we're done with this.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
When we're done.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
wanna remind
You can highlight on that, but I think just most of these guys who are there anyway don't even deserve to live. So
Exactly.
why should they choose the way they get to go?
Right.
One and two, guys on death row, a lot of them end up staying on death row for 10 years. Years.
Oh, yeah.
And it's taxpayers' money that is just going to keeping these guys alive and keeping these guys in prisons and building more prisons to house more of them just so that they can wait to die. I feel like they should just get on with it. As cruel as it sounds, I think if you're put on death row and your case and
you shouldn't be able to appeal it 100 times.
No, exactly.
No.
It's wasting our money.
These guys are just abusing the system and getting away with these absolutely heinous crimes and then being able to live out 15, 20 more years of their lives because
getting free food.
Free
and then they end up dying that way, maybe, if they're old enough.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure plenty die on it.
Exactly.
Plenty of them.
It's unbelievable. So, you know what? If there's a couple different options of going about actually, executing someone that's on death row, I think we should utilize all of them as much as we can.
Someone wants to go out that way.
Right, exactly.
It's just very barbaric.
But
I guess if you're gonna die, then.
But when you think about it, if there's no lethal injection, that's obviously the most peaceful way.
Then what else are you gonna do?
Right.
It's not like we're gonna bring back the electric chair. Exactly.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? We're not gonna do hangings out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, if we don't get lethal injection drugs, we're gonna start making our own or something.
Yeah. I'm sure there's gonna be something like that. We're getting them from Europe. I don't think that's ever gonna stop us from starting to produce our own. If
exactly.
It was that big of a issue.
And the thing is, in the when they were talking about the firing squad, it's gonna be an option. So, what if there is no lethal injection drug? They got to be coming out with something.
Right. Exactly.
They have to have some other alternative.
Exactly. They're not just gonna.
If you don't want to get shot in the back of the head, what are you gonna do?
Right. And they don't even shoot them in the back of the head. I've seen documentaries about it where these guys are just looking right at them.
I feel like they would.
They're blindfolded. And that's it.
Oh my god.
They're literally blindfolded, and that's
it. Crazy though.
But there's
no, obviously they deserve it. They're there for a reason, but at the same time, I don't know.
It just seems like it
seems a little wrong.
Who decides that it's those people's right to take another life like that?
Exactly.
So, it's just a really tough situation to even speak about.
I think we just go back to an eye for eye.
Right.
What were you gonna say about if they're innocent?
The death row thing. It was really random, but there was actually a lady on death row for 22 years, and her case just got thrown out.
And she was
convicted.
Oh, I read about that.
Read about this?
Yes, I did read about that.
She was convicted, I think, of killing one of her kids. I don't know if it was a daughter.
I don't know if it was her kid.
And she was exonerated?
But yeah, something just came out that...
Did it have to do with her husband? Maybe
she's like a free woman right now?
Yeah, she's literally
she's free.
Bang, threw her case out. Something happened.
I read this on the skim.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's crazy about death row.
The fact that someone can go through all that and then they're gonna pay him out for the 22 years of their life they missed.
Exactly. There's so many people who have been let off and freed after around the 80s when DNA testing actually came out. There's so many people that they never caught that were still innocent, just ended up dying in prison. Dying on death row.
My God, that's so scary.
Really,
imagine being in prison and knowing you're innocent.
Exactly.
Oh and
God, there's so many stories. There's so many stories of that have come out. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie. What's the name of it? It's Conviction, or it's about the lady whose brother goes to prison and he's completely innocent. So she decides to start studying as a lawyer, and she becomes a lawyer.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Who's in that?
And she breaks him out. It's the girl from $1 Million Baby.
Oh.
What is her name?
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
It's not Julia Roberts.
No, it's not Julia Roberts.
You have a computer.
I know, I'm trying to look up the other
It's like Sarah or something. Yeah, I might be completely wrong on that.
Sarah.
I think it's Sarah?
Maybe Sarah.
But
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank.
Yeah. To make a long story short, and it was all based off a true story. That actually happened, where there was a guy who was completely innocent, convicted of murder of like 2 little girls that he had never even seen, and it took, I think it was something like 15 years.
Wow.
It took her like 8 years to become the lawyer, and then a couple more years to appeal his case, and she finally got him out. It's a really awesome story to watch, but at the same time, it's very sad that
he had to go through that.
His life was cut short by 20 years for
All right, so
Nothing.
I found the story. So Deborah Milk spent 22 years on death row and was convicted of conspiring with 2 other men to kill her son,
Our son.
allegedly for an insurance payout. But on Monday, a judge in Arizona ruled that she was innocent and dismissed it all. She's only the second woman exonerated from death row. Ever.
Okay, so
Wow.
let's
mean-
go back and
At least it doesn't happen often.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
because
seriously.
death
Yeah,
row
that's a pretty good-
is a different thing than just regular
Yeah,
prison.
yeah, it's
A
one
lot
thing
of
to
guys
get
get let out of prison after a while, but you know, to be on death row is a completely different situation.
And she claimed, like, obviously she claimed my son meant everything to me, but the thing was, the key to the case's dismissal was prosecutorial misconduct of a detective. So there was a detective that screwed up, I guess. He lied under oath.
So is this lady potentially guilty, and they just
don't
messed up
think
the
so.
prosecution?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think, because it says prosecutors withheld from the jury Sal Dates. That's the detective who was found to have done misconduct. Sal Dates' personal record, which showed instances of misconduct in other cases, including lying under oath. So this guy's been at it for a while, I guess.
Wow.
Wow.
Trying to further his name. That's awful.
Yeah, like I said, you know.
She's think about it. She got her son killed, and then everyone blames her for it.
Blames her for it.
And then lies about it just to keep her down.
Yeah, seriously, this detective that has nothing to do with her life.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, law enforcement at the end of the day are humans just like you and I.
There are plenty of them that should be doing what they're doing.
Right,
There are plenty that do a great
exactly.
job at what they do.
Absolutely.
It's tough.
That is tough.
All right, well, I think we're going to take our final break, and we will be back in a little bit to wrap up this story.
Do we have